Okay. So let me speaking. It has been 5 years since the anti-exhibition uprising of 2019. While during this period, the Chinese Hong Kong regime has intensified its political pressure. Its utterances have become harsher by the day, and its methods ever more vicious. But we have worked hard to discover it. The newly legislated Article 23 is in many respects worse than the 2020 national security law would be. And Hong Kong people cannot push against the war. There seems to be no way back. Looking back over the past 30-some years, our annual commemoration of June 4th has been nothing more than a push and the Chinese regime would be able to reflect and regain self-awareness. And our support for China's democratization, a well-meaning but lacks forlorn hope. But those are enough for the regime to put us on the hook for anything with foreign enemies and trying to overthrow the government. Decisions that I consequences. Now it is clear that there has been a hidden, sinister purpose behind China's wanton treatment of Hong Kong, which is to carry out political genocide and thoroughly colonize our city. Generations of Hong Kongers have worked hard to build up our mainland and have contributed huge amounts of resources and effort towards China's modernization. In the end, we are forced to see our opponents go into exile, and this goes far and wide. But the public lands not only does not want us, but wants to hunt us down and beat us in place. Remember what happened in Manchester last year. Yes. So we no longer recognize China's sovereignty over the whole problem, or accept one country, two systems, or even want to think of ourselves as Chinese anymore. Renouncing China, seeking self-determination, and eventual political independence are now our strongest common political and robust symbol consensus. However, it is not good enough to just have an attitude or take a position. Any movement that attempts to establish an autonomous polity or an independent state must have a clear political program that spells out its goal, justifications, action paradigm, and steps to take. In 1776, representatives of the 13 North American colonies at the Second Continental Congress proposed and passed the Declaration of Independence, which pointed out for their people a pathway to a new Mexico during the 6 more years of war of resistance against Britain. The Basel Program, proposed and passed at the First Zionist Congress in 1897 by the then stateless Jewish people, provided goals for them to found an Israeli state, a feat they realized half a century later in 1938. These two election founding programs are the most famous in modern times and are also the most thoroughly studied. We health colonists are still quite some distance from producing such a political program. By preparing for it, by carefully studying relevant historical examples of other nations, should now be put on our Wilfred's agenda. The report I'm submitting to this Tokyo Convention is therefore not yet such a political process, but a first call to action, a very personal initiative to urge everyone to stop paying attention and putting in effort on this matter. I look forward to seeing Hong Kongers and their groups getting their hands together to jointly shoulder the arduous task of nation building take an important step forward, work together, and submit a formal program on common independence at another summit in some not too distant future. The support is therefore a tentative proposal, a very preliminary suggestion for what should be done before we produce a political program achieving icon, national liberation, and independence. What I see necessary is a dedicated research agenda and an action agenda that needs to be in place and carried out in unison at this stage in the movement. I call on newcomers of education from all over the world to learn autonomous combat swords according to both skills and resources to take up and work on any one or more of the necessary tasks I suggest or of their own eventual. And at some point to compare notes and exchange ideas and explore moves with the facts, interpret other similarities. With the research agenda, I propose for your consideration the 3 studies for the Greek Restoration. 1 for Saturn. The core purpose of these 3 studies is simple and straightforward: to replace the Chinese Hong Kong regime. These 3 studies are admittedly not mainstream academic subjects, but in some standard subjects, large numbers of individual works do focus on key issues in the 3 studies I propose. So we should try our best to collect and digest these individual works and distill from them fresh, relevant insights. The first one, failure studies, set on Bob. In any engineering field, there's a subfield, failure analysis, that specializes in quants failures as well as system breakdowns. In recent years, the most obvious example of continuously learning from failures and continuously achieving success is the SpaceX Elon Musk. What about our movement? The Hong Kong pro-democracy movement made great contributions during the 36 years of its existence, 1984 to 2020. It proposed, it popularized democratic concepts, enlightened the masses, and influenced Western countries' attitudes towards Hong Kong politics. However, regarding the main goal of that movement, to achieve the limited democracy defining Beijing's basic law of Hong Kong, it actually failed. The failure should not simply and wholly be attributed to the force majeure right by Beijing. Causes must also be found within the movement itself. Only when they are found can its history serve a useful role in the current movement. Now, doing that would engender a lot of controversies and the research process that makes some people feel uneasy. It will be a fact as such, it has not been carried out across factions within the movement, but it must be done. We should face it honestly and get the bottom fix and reach some consensus. Organizational structures like business models, forms of mobilization, the degrees of individual participation requested, our methods and slogans used in the protests, conflicts of opinions between factions, any debatable aspects and operational errors in uprisings at their job should all be considered. At the same time, our movement also needs to be aware of and learn from the failures of other movements grounding of study of great drought repeatables in multi-ones. Most of these failures actually have rich knowledge bases plus with it includes for conducting in-depth analysis. The human resources required for this study includes political scientists, conflict study scholars, activists, politicians of Sternberg's reserve answer. The second study proposes exile studies or more about. Most exile movements in world history disappeared within 1 or 2 generations. Good examples of various anti-Bolshevik programs among the 3 million strong diaspora of people that fled the Russian Revolution of 1917. But those movements all died well before the collapse of the Soviet Union. Much research has been done to look into why exile movements are so futile. If our diaspora wants to avoid this fate and instead succeed in achieving liberation of our homeland and salvage milk and an ultra state, we must gain a deep understanding of the internal problems that accompany this. The Tibetan experience is vivid, and the Jewish exile experience of 2,000 years is particularly rich, and both worthy of careful study by us. Such knowledge is closely lacking among Hong Kong and Southerners, and we must make up for it with courtesy fast. The manpower required for this research includes sociologists, economists, historians, activists, politicians, criticism, and studying. The third, nation-building studies being for. This is the other side point of radio studies, but the scope is much broader and more complex issues by the involved in. We have to solve at least 2 problems. First, we need to be able to spell out clearly and convincingly why we seek independence. There is an informed but very high bar to cross in international community for peoples who would aspire independence in order to obtain international sympathy and support. Hong Kongers have all the necessary and sufficient reasons for independence, but to know how to select the most appropriate and most convincing, and how to present them to the world, we need to learn from the best examples of world history. For Hong Kong people, the most important examples of nation building include the experiences of these 5 countries: the United States, Switzerland, Ireland, Mongolia, and Israel. The U.S. case is striking in that just about all the eventful transitions in its struggle for independence had exact parallels in the Hong Kong era. The transition from peaceful and rational tactics to militant needs, from anti-CCP to anti-Chinese people. The transformation from staging loyal opposition to secession, from mere legal dissent against expedition to demand for independence itself. This unfinished parallelism makes the 1776 experience top choice material for our policy will construct their own independence narrative and to push the wing forward. The Swiss case provides a different inspiration. It is a story in which, in the build among the great powers, the small, fully independent state can maintain its totality, peace, and stability hundreds of years with this game. The Switzerland camp, why can't all fall? One recent examples include the Irish people's all-out rebellion against the British game on independence, and Mongolia and Israel as weak nations that waited patiently for centuries to eventually succeed in rebuilding their own nation state in modern times. All these 3 cases are inspiring stories on this too. Manpower required for this study includes international law scholars, international relations scholars, history scholars, economists, patients, biggest discipline. Within view of these 3 studies as a special subset among Hong Kong studies, which is highly utilitarian and which directly serves the needs of an independence movement going forward. In addition, there are knowledge disciplines that are indispensable to the healthy, longer-term development of our movement. Regarding the action agenda, I propose that he use the concept of the three taxes for the Great Restoration. For example, I'm an academic economist, so I would analyze this concept from the perspective of the efficient allocation of resources. The three practices are: one, service. This is important, especially system maintenance for the diasporic community itself. It will be subdivided into three types, namely livelihood services, such as helping newcomers settle and find jobs, and providing psychological counseling to some. Cultural services, such as teaching Hong Kong history, Hong Kongese, body Hong Kong art, cuisine, cultural movies, in order to sustain and strengthen our ideas. And political services, such as organizing demonstrations, June 4th commemoration against Lian, and connecting with and supporting the part of our movement in enemy occupied our cult, which has largely gone everywhere else. The second, international lobbying. This is seeking out and advocating for sanctions in foreign political circles, so-called warfare scheme. Some lobbying is indirectly service-oriented, such as seeking resources for the new diaspora and the service-directly offensive, such as persuading foreign governments to sanction Chinese and officials that behave particularly badly. In addition, there are also efforts to field the candidates, the simple Hong Kong-friendly candidates, carried out in various countries by Hong Kongers in order to more directly and legally influence foreign governments' policies on China and also control. Third kind, direct attack on the regimes. Third, engage with the fascist totalitarian regimes in China and Hong Kong and carry out direct attacks to inflict pain and damage on them. Recently, so Chinese activists so Chinese activists have done several such things effectively. For example, the research that exposed the CCP's secret police stations in foreign countries. The tear down the wall movement to quit China's internet censorship. And the Great Translation movement exposed the truth about China for foreigners understand by Chinese language. These works are all significant, all different forms of hand-to-hand combats with or direct attack against the Chinese regime, eminently worthy of emulation by Hong Kong activists. We take off one of the example of the Irish IRA in throwing a lot of cocktails against the midnight have. We're not in occupied areas and must do things stably while being them right purpose. But as long as someone dares to think and act, there is plenty of room for us to use for an equal place against the China. Matter very important for it. Regarding these three types of practices, I have some observations. Now, in the early days of our exile, the demand for services and service-related lobbying is great. We widely invested most of our time and effort on such work and achieved the valuable results, allowing our community to receive various other subsidies and enjoy the life growth benefits provided by some countries. However, 5 years later, the situation is very different because those Hong Kong people who are emigrating now are much better endowed and prepared, so they do not need as much success. Also, today, most of those who initially needed much assistance are now able to become their own. So the actual demand for services is decreasing, some services. Meanwhile, many host countries are now reducing the supply of resources for their own local communities because they are now very more testing needs coming from the community centers displaced Ukrainians. With both supply and demand for services reduced, there will soon be surplus activists in our service practices. This isn't necessarily bad. There are services that's true value in providing health cheaply because children have even priced like when on itself service does not directly contribute to the great restoration. At best, it just provides an advocates how activists to reach more people, among which we could eventually devote some at our more effective political work against the regime. This is to be with the political services. Example, holding June 4th commemoration marches to save known to Lian is murdered. But even if, as a result, people treat the memories of the horrible 1389 event life year after year, it will not slow the regime or its. In those years in Hong Kong, tens of thousands of people gathered to hold the candlelight visuals in Victoria Park on every June 4th. Marches held on July 1st were sometimes 10 times bigger. I think the effect on the regime to get the now we are disposed overseas and the situation will not get better. In the book of Joshua in the Old Testament, Jehovah told the Israelites to go up to the enemy-occupied city of Jericho and march around it while shouting and blowing trumpets every day, and promised them that the city would fall on the seventh day. The Israelites obeyed and succeeded and easily entered the promised land of Canaan. But it was a miracle that over the last 30 years, no matter how many people shouted servants or how long we should give it to include our trumpets, the regime in China South never suffered this practice, let alone falling as a result. This is an intrinsic limitation of all service work, and we should keep a clear mind about it. As for the indirectly offensive part of the international lobby, there will also be gradually diminishing returns. One reason is that the number of rogue officials who are not yet sanctioned by the West is declining. Another reason is that the West still relies on China's huge market to buy its goods and services sanctions. Sanctions are not good for the own business sector, so they must be limited. You may have noticed that the Biden administration's ambassador in China said a few days ago that Sino-US relations have returned to a certain stable state. In fact, lobbying foreign governments to sanction local officials in China and Hong Kong is a bit like asking these countries to build our liberation to us. This has cost them a number for us. So it's a free lunch, but we cannot expect to enjoy it for much longer. For our own liberation, we need to do it with our own two hands. This means that lobbying work will also be focused out soon. Therefore, I believe that if the current radical allocation book of free tax things is not significantly adjusted, our movement will soon become increasingly inclusive. And often estimates that the ratio of manpower and time invested in the faith axis is currently about 7.9 to 0.1, while optimal ratio should be about 2 to 6. In other words, we should become much more aggressive against our enemy Brazil. Making such large allocation adjustments requires a high degree of self-motivation on the part of our actors, because there's no centralized authority that can give orders to superman power around to achieve the desired allocated efficiency. Our nation building endeavor needs the most at this stage is a large number of activists who are highly motivated, flexible, and capable of creatively taking up actors level 3 tasks. Attacking. The training we've received in the task often does not match its task viewing phase. Therefore, I have often urged those who are now in the task or at the goal 3 to sound more freely spiritual and personal. Keep calling that. And evolve into highly entrepreneurial, highly flexible fighters for the goals. Finally, I will discuss the integration of knowledge enhancement for the Great Restoration. The research agenda as it goes about has barely got spelled. So for the time being, there's so much we can do in terms of integrating with the praxis agenda. However, some ideas that we explore now, especially regarding praxis and the that is lobbying, two examples we illustrate. Idea 1. Research results suggest that the peaceful Swiss minds can't can be possible under some scenarios. And this model should be promoted by our lobbyists internationally as early as possible so that it can happen more easily for the stars. Typically, lobbying lacks reality. After the national security law was introduced, we lobbied the Western countries for light votes. Chinese Hong Kong officials did much too much evil, so we lobbied for sanctions. Such lack of lobbying is easy to do because the terrible facts are all freshly there for all to see. But lobbying for, say, the Swiss model of Hong Kong independence is mainly forward-looking. So historical and theoretical research must be done thoroughly in order for such lobbying to be persuasive and countercultural. Idea 2. One of the advanced research data items on nation building emphasizes building into the conditions under which it was possible to work. New nations emerged and led to pathways in poverty. However, upon the emergence of a new nation, there are also many problems to be solved, and those tend to be pressing problems. For example, argument provision that kind of political institution need to be established next time. Whether there are enough qualified people to run their assembly, and how do you manage it? Possibly more to an academy than national economies. How do you engage with sympathetic foreign governments and ask for emergency aid, etc., etc.? We have a negative example of how not to run a new founded republic. The Republic of China was started by Sun Yat-sen in 1911, but it was done in great haste because before he and his associates were adequately prepared, the Qing dynasty collapsed under its own weight. Too fast, like hopping pork. As a result, he had practically no idea how to set up and run the new government. His thoughts on the subject contained in 2 documents, strategies for developing the Republic and outlined the founding of the Republic in the fundamental people backlog. Were actually all written and published some 10 years after the revolution, which was from the date, right? Although there are research works on how to and how not to set up and run new governments, especially after the World War II decolonization wave and the disintegration of the Soviet Union. Hands-on experience is perhaps more important. Therefore, my suggestion is that we establish small political parties for Hong Kong people in Western countries, starting without actively train political talents to participate in real democratic politics and get some of them appointed to government positions. But before the face of such party disputes don't to be of any consequence, we can cooperate with overseas Tibetans, Uyghurs, Cambodians, and Taiwanese. A political party formed this way can be called third nation party. So, a first nation usually refers to original people in world countries. There will be one in each democratic country, and they can form a network. At first, these political parties do not nominate their own candidates. They work with Catholic groups to support other friendly party candidates at lower levels who are sympathetic to the national development in the current dealing with ties the rivers. Being in an anti-movement is like moving against a strong current. We are like the Israelites if we left Egypt and reached the Red Sea. The enemies in hot pursuit. But for us, there is no easy way. So miracles of us fought please. No one offered from heaven to keep us of faith. No tablet of command is given by the Jehovah guide us. We can only inch forward against all odds. There is only one that lacks 2 generations time for us to return to our the 10th or 5th of that type as in that period. So we must not waste time. I will stop here. Thank you.